Alright, here's the coming up the top of Rampart Ridge. We can go back to Longmire to the right. We're going to go to the left for a little bit. So, it is snowing up here. I'm going to do Wonderland Trail for a little bit here. Don't know how much, depends on how much snow. So, now it is Sunday. Early afternoon, March 29th, 2026. At there, 12:20. Yep. That's my Suggest ST19 chrono, which means stopwatch. It's a manual winding. Got it in. I really don't like the band on it because it's silicone, but I do like the case back, which I'll show that some other time. It's a pretty cool watch. Really enjoy it. It is a copy or whatever, but for $177, and plus it's versatile. I can change out 4 different straps on it, go with it. So hey, ooh, got some snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Or as Sean Connery would say, lay tits now, lay tits now, lay tits now. Suck it, Trebek. That's not what your mama said last night, Trebek. Oh, yeah. A little bit of snow. All right. Wasn't expecting this, but hey, you know, I really don't have any plans for these 4 days off, but hey, I'm really enjoying this. This is not CGI or AI. This is, oh, look at that bird. Well, hey there. Well, hello. Oh, hey. Well, hello there. Well, how y'all doing? Well, there's 3 of them over here now. I feel like I'm in a Disney movie. Well, hello there. Well, bye-bye there, little buddies. Well, an enchanted moment. Tombstone reference. I gotta watch it tonight. One of my 2 favorite movies of all time. Tombstone and Predator. Oh. 2 of my favorite quotes of all time are in those movies. I grew up, you want to watch some good movies and be a real man, you know, Tombstone, Predator, you know, The Running Man. I like a lot of dystopian movies, V for Vendetta, you know, those are the kind of movies I've always liked. Love Arnie movies, you know, Conan, Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, you know, Commando. You know, heck, I even have some chick flicks that I like. Phenomenon, The American President. Hell, Forrest Gump to me is a chick flick. Getting a chick flick for dudes, a dude flick, I guess you could call it, would be like Good Will Hunting. Great movie. Saving Private Ryan. Shawshank. You know, the unedited version of Shawshank. And a really gut punch you. You know, pump up the volume when I was a kid. The Mummies. I like the Mummy movies. Those are funny movies. All 4 Lethal Weapons. You know. You know, I like the early Marvel movies. Of course, my favorite Marvel movie of them all is Winter Soldier. That, to me, set everything in motion. But Captain America is my favorite, and I think all 3 of them are great movies. But Winter Soldier is by far, you know, the first 3 Star Wars, great. You know, Rogue One to me is the second best Star Wars movie, behind Empire. You know, Godfather 1 and 2, Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2, Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. You know, all great movies. You know, use the internet for what it was intended for. To, you know, first time in human history, we literally have self-education at our fingertips. You know, I watch educational videos. Of course, yeah, when I get off work, I want to just chill and relax. So I just, you know, watch stupid, silly stuff a lot. You know, 'cause, oh wow, I've never been over here before. This is all new to me. I didn't know I was have to cross a river. No, I'm staying on this trail and not veering off of it. You're starting to get in more snow. That is quite obvious. I was hoping to make it at least to Christine Falls. We'll see. The top of Christine Falls. So, I might not. This is looking like snow everywhere from here on out. And I don't like doing this kind of stuff. Oh, chipmunk. Maybe I got that on video. See, this is looking more and more like this. So I might go just for a little bit longer. As of now, I know it's at least 6 miles. Round trip. I've gone probably 3 miles. I'll have to look it up later. I don't know. Yeah, it's starting to get, as you can see, it's getting pretty thick and deep. Oh. Well, hang on. I see some clearing opening up a little bit. Oh, no. I think maybe not. Yeah, go a little further. You know, work on your health there. Start cutting back on calories. You know, go hungry for a little bit. You know, next time you feel like grabbing some bonbons, you know, why don't you hold off for 10, 15, 20 minutes. You know, same way with bad habits, you know, smoking. You know, cut back on drinking. You know, drinking, shoot. Drinking's a lot more worse for you than THC. There, I said it. You know, that's a hill I'll gladly die on. You know, it's not without its faults. And I strongly believe anybody under the age of 25 should not do any alcohol or tobacco or THC, any drugs, period, until your brain's fully developed. That's how come we have all these people now been smoking herb or drugs, doing drugs non-stop since they were 10, 11, 12 years old, and their minds are permanently underdeveloped. They won't ever be able to think for themselves, have control of their emotions. So what good are they to society? That's what you got to ask yourself. That's why I stay alone. Yeah, I mean, the hell with a lot of you. You know, nobody bothers me. There ain't nobody gonna get a jump on me out here. You know, 4-legged or 2. I got better odds out here than I do anywhere. I don't think anybody wants to take me on in any woods. Odds are in my favor then. You know, I have faith in my skill set. You better have faith in yours. Until that day comes, just start living your best life possible. Quit worrying about things that are out of your control. You know, quit watching the news. All of it is just propaganda and lies. You know, legacy media is the enemy of the American people. They are. See all these people. Look who's supporting criminals. Who's supporting people who are not citizens. Look how they treat citizens. You know, you need to open your eyes. You know, free will. I'm a big proponent of free will. You know, it's not my job to tell you how to think. That's your job. You know, my eyes are wide open. I see everyone and everything. I see this world for how it truly is. You know, like being red-pilled, you know. It is what it is. You know, me and a buddy had to talk about this. And, you know, I asked him, would you want to go back? He kind of said, yeah. And I was like, nah, I don't. I want to know the truth. I'd rather know the ugly truth than pretty lies any day, all day. Because a lie's a lie no matter what. Anything built on a foundation of lies cannot be trusted. You know, men, start acting like men. You know, don't stoop down to other people's level. Hold yourself to a higher standard. And you got to be that way 100. You got to have morals 100% of the time. Morals are not convenient. They never are. Conviction. And now I ain't talking about criminals. Having conviction, morals, values. You know, you never, ever cross lines. You know, I've never hit a woman in my life. I don't hit kids. You know, have I spanked my son? You dang right I did. When he messed up, he wasn't as bad as I was, so it was only a handful of times. But nobody's gonna tell me how to raise my child. No, nobody has any say so. School is your job to teach. It ain't your job to define sex of kids, to brainwash them. You know, education. Teacher got one job to teach, and you're failing miserably. These students are stupid. You're half as much to blame. The other half are the parents. You know, I'm telling you right now, parents, you might say you love your kids, but if your kid doesn't know how to swim, you don't love your child that much. And that's right, I'm calling you out on it. Calling all of you out on it, because it's the truth. I'm not a hard person to find. Anybody don't like that. Come on, bring down here to Pre-Olive South Hill area. You know, and I'll knock some sense into you. Because it's the truth. I got the high ground. I always have the high ground. Because you don't know how to swim because you're afraid of water? Really? You know how stupid that sounds? You know how stupid that makes you look? Seriously. You could end 95% of all drownings just by having your kids learn how to swim. Basic swimming. And that to me is the biggest travesty. You know, I made sure my son knew how to swim. I'm an excellent swimmer. You know, shoot. I put myself, even right now, go out in the ocean against most people. I know how to recognize riptides and how to handle yourselves in them. You always check your six. Oh. But yeah, this is the Wonderland Trail. I'm heading, I guess it's counterclockwise. So I'm gonna go just a couple miles. Glad I went further here. The snow, not bad at all. It's one of the rivers over here. I don't know which one. In the valley down here to the left. Oh, here we go. Oh, switchback. Never mind. I see it. But yeah, look at this. Nice. Glad I did go a little further. My cousin would get that one. Incoming. Oh. What the hell was that? But yeah, start living your best life possible. Making short, mid, long-term goals. Working on the things in your life. I have no major things in my life to do. I've rectified everything. You know, I have all the people in my life that I want, that want to be in my life. I want them in my life. You know, everybody else, they're just people that I used to know and acquaintances. If I talk to you once or twice a year, that's all you are to me. I don't wish any ill will on anybody, but don't want to be part of my life? Okay then. Well, I don't want to be part of yours then. You know, don't, you know, be thankful you know about these things. You know, you can be nice to everybody, and it just don't matter. There's going to be people out there that just don't like you. You know. Now me, you know, everybody knows I'm an asshole in my life, and they love me because of that, in spite of that. You know, but I'm an asshole with benefits. You know, I'm a loyal asshole. You know, very loyal to a fault. So, you know, I'm only loyal to those that deserve my loyalty. You know. Oh man, this is pretty cool. Oh man. Yeah, I feel pretty good so far. Oh, I see looks like some waterfalls across the way. Yeah. I can get a good view of it over there. Or no, those are trees laying down. Never mind. I ain't got my glasses on. When I was coming up Rampart Ridge there, I sweating my butt off. So I had to take off my gloves and my toboggan. And I got another ridge to come up too. Woo! Yeah, I think once I get to the bottom of this one, I'll just chill out for a little bit and then start heading back. That would be more than enough. Oh yeah, nice. So cool. Ooh, a little wet here. There we go. But yeah, it's like getting out here and living your best life possible. See the little fungi. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I wasn't zoomed out all the way. But yeah, anyway, seen some elk earlier. Saw them birds there just kind of checking me out like I was checking them out. You know, little things like that just are, you know, the little things add up there. It really makes a hike more enjoyable. If I saw nothing, heck, I'm still enjoying having a blast, getting exercise, cardio, working on my ankle and my knee, you know. You know, get busy living or get busy dying. Anyway, that's enough for now, I think. I'm going to get on down here to the bottom, start enjoying a little bit here, and then I might get another video. Get a 10-minute, just keep my tater trap shut, and I'll get a 10-minute video of me just hiking, nature video, no talking. I'll get that here in a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this. Anyway, y'all got to enjoy nature, people. Later.